Welcome. Our mission today is to really get under the skin of a classic text. We're taking all these sources you've given us, the biography, the criticism, the notes, and doing a deep dive.
That's right.
We're looking at the foundations, the author's life, the ideas, the characters, all drawn straight from this material.
And today, it's Dostoevsky's world we're entering, specifically crime and punishment. We want to explore the pressures, psychological, yes, but also just plain material that push Raskolnikov.
And how the author's own life, his own trauma, really shaped the fiction. You can't separate them, can you?
No, you really can't. To understand the character, you absolutely have to understand Dostoevsky's own crucible of suffering first.
It's easy to forget where these huge figures come from. We think Dostoevsky, we think literary giant. But the sources, they start somewhere quite different. Humble beginnings. His father was a doctor, but they were poor, described as hardworking and deeply religious.
And the living conditions. I mean, 5 children crammed into just 2 rooms, that's intense.
Definitely. But even with that scarcity, that material lack, there was this intellectual richness.
Exactly. That's the key contrast.
Yeah.
They might not have had much materially, but his parents actively nurtured their minds. They'd spend evenings reading aloud.
And not just anything, right? Books of a serious character, the sources say.
Yes, so you have this foundation of faith, literature, serious thought.
Right alongside this constant physical hardship.
It's almost the perfect setup for Raskolnikov, isn't it? This young man with a brilliant mind, access to education, but absolutely no money, no means to live decently.
And Dostoevsky himself, he was clearly brilliant from the start, despite being sickly and delicate, apparently. He still managed to finish 3rd in his class at the Petersburg School of Engineering. That's no small feat.
Not at all.
Yeah.
He was academically gifted, and then, boom, immediate success. Poor Folk, his first book, makes him famous practically overnight.
It looks like his path is set, a successful literary career ahead.
You'd think so. But then comes the event that completely shatters that trajectory. And this is where Dostoevsky transitions from someone who observes poverty to someone who truly understands psychological agony from the inside out.
The arrest in 1849.
Yes. He got caught up with intellectual circles, not exactly a bomb-throwing revolutionary, but he was reading things he shouldn't have been.
Forbidden thinkers, socialists like Fourier, Proudhon.
Exactly. And crucially, he was accused of being part of conversations against censorship, knowing about plans for an illegal printing press. All under Tsar Nicholas I.
Who the sources describe as that stern and just man. Stern, certainly.
You could say that the accusation itself is scary enough.
For the condemnation, the mock execution, that's just on another level. Pure psychological torture.
Hard to even imagine. He and 21 others taken to Semyonovsky Square, forced into those white shirts.
The shirts for condemned prisoners.
Yes. Knowing you have minutes left, he was 3rd in line, apparently. He actually watched them prepare the first 2 men for execution.
The waiting. The anticipation.
The goodbyes they said to each other. It's an agony that's almost impossible to grasp.
And then suddenly the drum roll, the Tsar's reprieve.
Life spared. Commuted to exile in Siberia. But the cruelty wasn't just the potential death. It was the process, that drawn-out mental torture.
It left scars. Deep ones.
Absolutely. The sources mention one prisoner, Grigoriev, who went mad right there the moment they unbound him. Never recovered.
And Dostoevsky, it burned itself into him.
Completely. He revisited that theme constantly, not just as an idea, but insisting on the cruelty of it, the state inflicting that kind of mental torment.
It's interesting, though, how the sources suggest he eventually came to view suffering differently, later in life, through his faith.
That's the paradox, isn't it? He seemed to come to accept suffering as maybe a necessary path, a spiritual cleansing, even a blessing in disguise.
But he never downplayed the horror of it.
Never. The writer in him, the observer, refused to whitewash the sheer agony. He'd seen the edge of human endurance, the calculation of power, that raw realism. That's what he poured into Raskolnikov. The fever, the delirium after the crime. It feels like an echo of his own trauma.
Okay, so from the author's trauma, we shift directly to the character's immediate reality, Raskolnikov's Petersburg. And it feels just as suffocating as that execution square.
The setting itself is oppressive, this huge building, but it's all carved up into these tiny, miserable tenements.
A real hive of humanity. The sources list who lives there. Tailors, locksmiths, cooks, Germans.
Girls picking up a living as best they could. It's a place teeming with desperation. Constant struggle.
And Raskolnikov deliberately tries to disappear within it. He uses the back stairs, right? dark, narrow.
Yeah, he prefers it. He dreads meeting his landlady, avoids people. He wants obscurity and visibility. Even before the murder plan forms, he's trying to be unseen.
That need for invisibility, that shame, it's already there.
It's the perfect soil for his idea to grow. Isolation. And this back staircase, this path of obscurity, leads him right to Alyona Ivanovna, the pawnbroker.
His intended victim. And the description is brutal. Diminutive, withered-up old woman of 60.
With sharp, malignant eyes and a sharp little nose. Not exactly sympathetic.
No. And that detail about the bell on her door, the faint tin-like tinkle, it seems so small.
But it echoes later, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It becomes this tiny, persistent sound associated with the horror, like the mundane sound that precedes catastrophe.
His first visit, when he pawns the cigarette box, it's just a scouting mission, really.
Absolutely. He's checking the layout, her reactions, testing the waters, all under the guise of poverty, which, of course, is painfully real for him.
And that reality hits home with the letter from his mother, Pulcheria Alexandrovna. This letter is devastating. It's what really pushes him, I think.
It's the catalyst, certainly. It spills out just how bad things are. He'd already dropped out of university, lost his tutoring work. Why?
Want of means. Simple as that. Lack of money.
And we see exactly how little they have. His mother's pension. 120 rubles a year, that's nothing.
The 15 rubles she sent him before. She had to borrow that money.
They're drowning financially.
Yeah.
Constantly juggling debt just to keep him afloat, just trying to give him a chance through education.
Which puts this immense pressure on his sister, Dounia. The source details her sacrifice and her humiliation.
She took that governess job with the Svidrigaïlovs, got 100 rubles in advance.
And sent 60 of it straight to Raskolnikov. Over half.
But the job ended disastrously. Falsely accused by the wife, Marfa Petrovna, apparently she even struck Dounia.
And then just bundled off in a plain peasant's cart. Public disgrace, village gossip, all because she was trying to help the family.
So now Dounia has this solution, this engagement to Pyotr Petrovich Luzhin. He's successful, financially stable.
But repulsive. Utterly repulsive.
And his whole attitude, his reason for choosing Dounia, it's laid bare in the source material. It's just vile.
He actually said he wanted a wife who'd experienced poverty?
Yes, because, he argued, a man shouldn't be indebted to his wife. It should be the other way around. The wife should see her husband as her benefactor. Always.
It's not marriage, it's ownership. Designed to keep her perpetually grateful and subservient.
Raskolnikov sees right through it. Instantly. That internal monologue, the sources quote, is so raw.
Dounia would not sell her soul. He knows she's sacrificing her dignity, her self-respect for him.
Right. He thinks she'd rather be a literal slave, a nigger on a plantation, or a let with a German master, he thinks, than marry someone she despises just for money.
That comparison, it shows the depth of his pride, his horror at their situation.
It's the shame of his brilliant, virtuous sister being forced into this kind of moral compromise by their poverty. That's the final straw. His theory about crime isn't just abstract anymore. It becomes this desperate, twisted way to try and break that cycle of humiliation for his family.
So he's reeling from this letter, the shame, the fury about Dounia. He wanders out, ends up in a tavern.
And that's where he meets Marmeladov, the drunken clerk. This encounter is crucial. It's where the abstract theory crashes into raw, unfiltered human misery.
Marmeladov is such a character. Over 50, bald, bloated face, but clinging to that last shred of respectability.
That ragged black dress coat with only one button left, it's heartbreaking. That one button is everything.
And he just spills everything. To Raskolnikov, a complete stranger, stealing his wife Katerina Ivanovna's key, taking the last of his wages.
But the worst part, the part that really cuts deep, is stealing from his daughter Sonia, 30 kopecks.
Her last, all she had, just to get another drink.
What makes it so painful is his awareness. He knows how good Sonia is. He talks about how her silent suffering, her lack of blame actually hurts him more. It hurts more when they don't blame.
That understanding of her compassion just deepens his self-loathing.
And it all builds to that cry from the depths. Do you understand, sir? Do you understand what it means when you have absolutely nowhere to turn?
Nowhere. It hits Raskolnikov hard.
It solidifies something in him, I think. Then, soon after, he has that encounter on the street. The young girl.
Right, the distressed girl, probably drunk, being followed by that lecherous older man, the plump dandy.
He steps in at first, protects her, pays a policeman to get her home. Seems like a decent act.
But then his mind takes that dark turn, that cynical calculation.
He realizes, or Convinces himself, he realizes, that her fate is sealed anyway. Hospital, drink, ruined by 18 or 19. She's doomed.
And that's where the percentage theory comes in, this chilling idea.
Yeah, this horrifying rationalization that some people, a certain percentage, have to be sacrificed. They have to go to the devil, as he puts it.
So that others, the majority, can remain chaste and stable. It's utilitarianism taken to a monstrous extreme.
And where does his mind immediately go?
Straight back to Dounia. But what if Dounia were one of the percentage?
Exactly. If his sister has to effectively sell herself in this marriage to Luzhin to save the family, isn't she part of that necessary sacrifice too? Isn't her degradation required for his survival?
It twists everything, makes his potential crime seem, in his mind, like a way to prevent a different kind of moral catastrophe.
He's primed now. The idea is there, the emotional fuel is there, and then comes the final piece. Pure chance.
The overheard conversation. In the Haymarket.
He hears a tradesman talking to Lizaveta, the pawnbroker's half-sister.
And Lizaveta. The sources describe her as the ultimate victim even before the murder. Tall, clumsy, timid, submissive, and almost idiotic.
Beaten by her sister. Exploited. Destined to inherit almost nothing. The money's going to a monastery.
And that detail, constantly with child, it suggests something even darker, doesn't it? Chronic exploitation.
She's the definition of the innocent sufferer. The very opposite of a loused pawnbroker Raskolnikov targets.
But the crucial thing he overhears isn't about her suffering, it's practical.
It's the timing. Lizaveta will be out the next day, at 7 o'clock precisely, leaving Alyona Ivanovna alone.
The opportunity. It's just laid out for him. Too perfect.
And that's it. The final click. He feels, the source says, that he has no more freedom of thought, no will. Everything is suddenly and irrevocably decided.
The abstract theory meets a concrete chance opportunity, and a sense of agency just evaporates. #5, the crime and the crushing psychological aftermath.
So he sets out to do it, but his state of mind right before. It's bizarrely detached.
Yeah, he's walking towards the pawnbroker's building, but he's thinking about city planning.
Considering the building of great fountains and extending city gardens, it's like his mind is desperately trying to distance itself from the horrific reality of the axe he's about to retrieve.
That axe, hidden under the porter's bench, finding it feels like fate intervening again.
When reason fails, the devil helps. That's his thought. He's surrendering to it.
But the moment he gets to her door, the plan starts to wobble. He rings the bell.
And that faint tinkle sound rushes back. Reminds him of the reconnaissance trip. Makes him feel exposed.
Alyona Ivanovna looks at him suspiciously, intently, maliciously, and mistrustfully. He feels his control slipping, losing his head.
The first murder happens, awkwardly, brutally. But the real breakdown, the thing that shatters the principle of it all, is Lizaveta.
She comes back early, unexpectedly.
Yes. Killing the pawnbroker was, in his warped logic, theoretical. Killing Lizaveta. That's just raw, panicked reality. An innocent bystander.
And that second murder, it unleashes something terrible in him, loathing.
Instantaneously. Loathing for what he's done, loathing for himself. It just grows and grows.
And all his careful planning, it falls apart during the robbery itself. He can barely function.
His hands are shaking violently. He fumbles with the keys, the locks, keeps making mistakes. The great prize seems suddenly irrelevant next to the sheer panic.
Finds the box under the bed, and his first instinct is just bizarre, wiping his bloody hands on a red coat inside.
Thinking the blood will be less noticeable on red fabric. It's a flash of almost insane logic in the middle of the chaos. He even recognizes it himself. Good God, am I going out of my senses?
It shows how his superior intellect has completely failed under pressure.
He's desperately trying to clean up, washing the axe, his hands, checking for bloodstains.
And then the terror, footsteps outside, voices.
He's trapped. Hiding behind the door as two men arrive, a student and someone else. They're arguing, wondering why the door's locked on the inside.
They almost call the porter, inches away from discovery.
It's pure luck that they don't. Just chance again. His whole grand intellectual crime nearly undone by random noise. It reinforces how flimsy his control really was. #V, investigation, illness, and the cat and mouse game.
So he escapes somehow, but the aftermath is immediate physical and mental collapse. Fever, delirium.
And then the summons comes to the police officer.
Instant terror. He thinks this is it. They know.
But it's not about the murder. It's about debt. an IOU to his landlady for 115 rubles.
The relief must have been immense. Intense, indescribable relief, the source says. A physical wave.
But talk about irony. He's in the clear momentarily, but he's at the police station.
Right. And while he's there, the officers start talking, casually, about the double murder.
And his body betrays him. He faints. Right there.
That feint is huge. It puts him on their radar, especially Ilya Petrovich, the assistant superintendent.
Petrovich immediately groups him with the undesirables. Authors, literary men, students. He's already suspicious of Raskolnikov's type. The intellectual poor.
Luckily, his friend Razumin shows up, takes charge, gets him clothes, care.
Razumin is this force of loyal, boisterous energy. But the police investigation is circling closer, even if indirectly.
They have a suspect, right? Nikolai, the painter.
Yeah, Nikolai tried to hang himself, apparently out of fear or guilt, and was found with the pawnbroker's earrings. He claims he just found them.
Razumin tells Raskolnikov the story while the doctor, Zasimov, is observing Raskolnikov's reaction.
And Raskolnikov gives himself away again. When Razumin mentions the detail about the murderer hiding
behind the door,
Raskolnikov reacts violently, shouts out. Zasimov notices.
Zasimov sees that Raskolnikov is obsessed with mental diseases, but only really comes alive, only reacts strongly when the murder itself is discussed.
His mind might be trying to deny it, but his physical reactions are screaming guilt.
Which leads us to the psychological showdown, Porfiry Petrovich, the investigating magistrate.
And Porfiry isn't playing by the usual rules. He reveals he knows about Raskolnikov's article on crime.
The one arguing that certain extraordinary men have the right to break the law, to overstep boundaries.
Porfiry isn't focused on fingerprints or witnesses. He's playing a mental game. Razumin tries to defend Raskolnikov, blaming his weird behavior on illness, poverty, the heat.
Logical explanations.
But Porfiry waves them away. He dismisses Nikolai the painter, too. This isn't a simple crime of poverty, he says. It's a modern case.
What does he mean by that?
A crime born from ideas, a heart unhinged by theories, murder committed for a theory.
And Porfiry sees the proof of the theory's failure in the crime itself.
Exactly. He points out the flaws. Raskolnikov forgot to lock the door properly behind him. He hid the stolen goods clumsily under a stone.
The great intellect failed at the practicalities.
Porfiry's point is chilling. Raskolnikov's theory might have told him he was extraordinary, a Napoleon, but his actions, his trembling hands, his panic, they showed he was just human, flawed, not above the messy reality of it all. #6, social degradation, Luzhin's vengeance, and Marmeladov's end.
So Raskolnikov is caught in this intellectual net, but the story pulls us back to the raw suffering that started it all, back to the Marmeladovs.
And it's the end for Marmeladov himself, run over by a carriage, mortally wounded.
They carry him to Sonia's room. Katerina Ivanovna is there, frantic, already sick herself, coughing blood.
In his last moments, Marmeladov sees Sonia in her gaudy finery, the clothes of her profession. He's crushed by shame.
And then he notices his youngest daughter, Lida. What does he say?
Barefoot, barefoot. That single detail encapsulates their utter destitution. Even in death, that's his focus.
It's just brutal.
And yet, even amidst this tragedy, Katerina Ivanovna clings to her pride. She insists on a funeral meal.
Spending half the money Raskolnikov gave them 10 rubles on this lunch.
Yes. Driven by that peculiar poor man's pride, the sources call it. She needs to show the other lodgers, the ones who look down on her, that she comes from a genteel colonel's family.
Even while she's literally coughing up blood, her spirit just won't break.
It's this tragic, almost delusional pride that sets the stage for Luzhin's final act of malice.
Right. Luzhin. He's still furious that Dounia rejected him. He wants revenge on Raskolnikov.
So he comes to this pathetic funeral lunch, makes a show of giving Sonia 10 rubles for the family.
But then secretly,
he slips a 100-ruble note into her pocket to frame her, to make her look like a thief in front of everyone.
His motive is so twisted. He wants to prove Raskolnikov was wrong to compare Dounia to Sonia. He wants to destroy Sonia socially to somehow justify himself and shame Dounia.
It's incredibly cruel.
Yeah.
But his plan backfires unexpectedly.
Thanks to Lebeziatnikov, Luzhin's roommate.
Yeah, Lebeziatnikov is this comical character obsessed with bizarre social theories. A bit ridiculous, really.
But fundamentally decent.
Exactly. He saw what Luzhin did. And despite his own odd ideas, he tells the truth. He stands up and denounces Luzhin as a slanderer.
It's a surprising moment of integrity that saves Sonia from being arrested right there.
It saves her reputation, yes. But the whole ordeal, the accusation, the stress, on top of her grief and her illness, Too much for Katerina Ivanovna.
She collapses, utterly distraught, hugging Sonia, then losing her grip on reality.
They carry her back to Sonia's room, and she dies soon after, still talking about her noble upbringing, clinging to that illusion until the very end. Hashtag, tag, Shenievini, Raskolnikov's confession, and Svidrigailov's evil.
Katerina Ivanovna is gone, the family is shattered, Raskolnikov is cornered psychologically and emotionally. Where does he go?
To Sonia. He has nowhere else. It's the ultimate confrontation. His cold, murderous logic versus her unwavering faith and compassion.
He confesses, tells her everything.
And her reaction, it's extraordinary. She's terrified, of course. But her immediate response is overwhelming pity. She throws her arms around him, calls him the most unhappy man in the whole world.
No judgment, just compassion.
Pure compassion. But Raskolnikov isn't quite ready for redemption yet. He's still fighting it.
When she mentions Siberia, the punishment, he pushes back, doesn't he?
Yes. He clings to his theory. I didn't kill a human being, but a principle. He even boasts, I shall make another fight for it. He still thinks his only failure was practical, not moral.
But Sonia sees deeper. She knows what he needs.
Suffer and expiate your sin by it. That's what you must do. That's her simple, profound answer. She offers him her own cross, a small wooden one.
Does he take it?
Not yet. Not now, Sonia. Better later. He's still caught in that limbo between pride and surrender.
And this intensely private, soul-bearing moment, it wasn't private at all.
No. The ultimate violation.
Yeah.
Svidrigailov, Arkady Ivanovich Svidrigailov, he was in the next room, listening.
Listening through the wall.
Through the wall. And the source adds this chilling detail. He found the conversation so interesting and remarkable that he pulled up a chair so he could listen in comfort for the whole hour.
That just speaks volumes about him. Pure, detached cynicism.
He's the dark mirror to Raskolnikov, isn't he? Raskolnikov kills for a high-minded, albeit warped, principle. Svidrigailov operates purely out of self-interest, calculation, and, frankly, depravity.
He's completely open about his past, too. That arrangement with his late wife, Marfa Petrovna.
Yeah, she paid off his massive debts, 70,000 rubles, with 30,000 of her own money. The deal. He stays with her, but gets a free pass to sleep with the servant girls. An unwritten contract, he calls it.
It's just reducing human relationships to transactions.
And his current obsession.
I'll say.
It's horrifying. The little girl of 13.
The one he saw crying after being exploited at some dance hall.
He's grooming her, using flattery, promises of education, dancing lessons, all to get access to her. It's predatory and calculated.
Raskolnikov calls him out on it, calls him vile.
And Svidrigailov just mocks him, calls him Schiller, this naive idealist. Svidrigailov sees himself as the realist who accepts the world's ugliness, including his own.
Yet there's this strange contradiction in him, too. He does show some form of generosity before the end.
Yes, it's bizarre. He arranges for the Marmeladov children to be placed in good orphanages, sets up trust funds for them, significant amounts of money.
And gives Sonia 3,000 rubles. Tells her to start a new life.
It's this mix of profound cynicism about humanity and these almost practical acts of charity. Maybe it's conscience, maybe it's just tying up loose ends. It's hard to say.
His final confrontation is with Dounia. He tries to force her to run away with him.
To America or Switzerland. He essentially tries to blackmail her using his knowledge of Raskolnikov's crime. But she resists. She even has a revolver.
There's a struggle, but ultimately...
He lets her go. Gives her the key. His inability to dominate her, this woman of principle, seems to break something in him.
And then comes the nightmare.
This truly disturbing dream about rescuing a little 5-year-old girl, cold and wet. He comforts her.
But then her face changes.
It becomes the face of a prostitute. Shameless, provocative. It's like innocence itself is corrupted, unattainable. A symbol of the absolute depravity he sees everywhere, maybe even in himself.
And after that dream...
He goes out into the foggy street, finds a spot outside a dreary wooden hotel, the Adrianople, and shoots himself. Hashtag tag 80. Resolution, expiation, and the new life.
Svidrigailov finds his end in suicide. Raskolnikov chooses a different path. Surrender.
He has to say goodbye first. To his mother, to Dounia. It's heartbreaking. He tells him to forget him, that he needs to be alone.
Dounia understands, doesn't she? She says that by choosing to face the suffering, he's already half expiating his crime.
She sees the moral significance of his choice. Then he heads to the police station. But on the way...
He fulfills Sonia's instruction in the Haymarket.
He bows down, kisses the earth, this public act of penance, humbling himself.
And he sees Sonia watching him, hiding nearby.
And in that moment, it hits him. She's with him forever. She'll follow him anywhere. That recognition of unwavering human connection, it's a turning point.
He gets to the station, almost confesses. But even then...
One last flicker of the old pride. He hesitates. Asks himself if he really needs to confess. That intellectual resistance dies hard.
But he goes through with it.
Yes, and the consequences follow. Exiled to Siberia, we hear briefly about the others. Dounia marries Razumin. They start a publishing business. Seems like a stable, happy ending for them.
But Raskolnikov's mother...
She dies. Brain fever. In her delirium, it's clear she suspected the awful truth about her son.
And Raskolnikov in Siberia, is it instant repentance?
Not at all. The sources are clear about this. He's sullen, indifferent. The conditions are harsh, crowded. He keeps to himself.
Even with Sonia, she follows him there, right?
She does, visits him. But he's initially reserved with her, even vexed by her visit sometimes, though eventually her presence becomes a habit, a necessity he doesn't quite understand yet.
And intellectually, he's still justifying himself.
Completely. He still thinks his theory wasn't stupider than others. His conscience, he feels, is clearer. His only crime, his only failure, was that he didn't succeed. He wasn't strong enough to be Napoleon.
Still trapped in that intellectual pride.
He hasn't broken through that yet. He needs something more than just punishment.
And the change, when it comes, isn't through logic. It's through illness, again, and a moment of seeing.
He's recovering in the prison hospital. He looks out and sees Sonia at the gate, waiting. And the source says, something stabbed him to the heart at that minute.
Not a thought.
A feeling.
A sudden, overwhelming realization of his need for her, of his love for her. That's what finally shatters the intellectual pride, the isolation.
And that opens the door to, well, the new life the novel hints at.
Exactly. They find this unexpected happiness together right there in exile. The remaining 7 years suddenly seem like 7 days. He understands finally that redemption isn't free. It has to be earned through suffering, struggle, and crucially, through love and connection. Hashtag outro.
So we've followed Raskolnikov all the way from this idea, this theory born from Dostoevsky's own life experiences, his trauma, his observations of poverty.
All the way through the crime, the psychological torment, the interactions with figures like Marmeladov, Luzhin's Fyodor, to this final point of spiritual reckoning in Siberia. It really does mirror the author's own path through suffering towards some kind of faith, doesn't it?
It feels very much like Dostoevsky working through his own demons on the page.
And that investigator, Porfiry Petrovich, he really nailed it early on. He saw Raskolnikov as someone whose heart was unhinged by theories.
That clash between the head and the heart is central. Raskolnikov truly believed, for a long time, that his conscience was clear, that he'd only broken a man-made law, not a moral one.
He thought the principle was sound, just the execution failed.
Right. So the question Dostoevsky leaves us with, maybe, is this. If Raskolnikov's cold logic couldn't bring him peace, only more torment, what does his final painful journey towards finding love and connection with Sonia in exile tell us?
Where does real moral freedom lie? In the power of the intellect to rationalize anything.
Or is it found somewhere deeper? In empathy? In suffering alongside others? In feeling? Is it logic? Or is it love that ultimately redeems us? That's something to chew on.
A powerful question to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We hope this exploration serves you well.